In today's video, we'll be going over two pretty big RPG studios officially leaving PlayStation. They are joining up with Microsoft and Xbox, and it looks like they will no longer be making any games for PlayStation platforms. On top of that, we are coming up on the release of Spyro Reignited Trilogy, and considering it's remasters of PlayStation 1 games, you might be expecting that these games aren't going to eat up all too much hard drive space, but that is not the case at all. These games are going to be massive. Also, we are coming up towards the end of the year, and as is the case with every year, we are going to have the Game Awards show, and along with awards being handed out to several of the best games of the year, we're also going to have several announcements and information revealed about existing games, new games, and everything in between. And it looks like the Game Awards 2018 will have the biggest lineup ever in terms of new game announcements. And lastly, I want to round out the video by taking a look at some of the new game releases coming this week, and there are a lot of exciting titles that you guys can check out this coming week. More on that at the end of this video. First, let's look at two major studios leaving PlayStation. They are joining up with Microsoft. Microsoft has acquired both Obsidian and Inxile. It was already pretty much a foregone conclusion that Obsidian was joining up with Microsoft and they would be creating Microsoft exclusive titles, that being on the Xbox One and Windows 10. If you guys don't know, Obsidian has made some fantastic RPGs, including Fallout New Vegas, and more recently they have worked on both of the Pillars of Eternity games, and those were very, very good. Pillars of Eternity 2 will be making its way over to the PlayStation 4, but after that, it looks like Obsidian games will be exclusive to Microsoft platforms. Also, Inxile was a more surprising announcement. You guys might not be all too familiar with them, but they've created the Wasteland games, very strategic and hardcore turn-based RPGs, strategy games. Wasteland 3 was in the works, and that probably will hit the PlayStation 4, but again, after that, it looks like Inxile will continue to create games, but exclusively for Microsoft platforms. It's unfortunate, but we've said for a long time that Sony was absolutely destroying Microsoft in terms of exclusive offerings and first-party games. Now that Microsoft has acquired both Obsidian and Inxile, and on top of that, they have Ninja Theory, they've acquired other studios, they've created new studios. What I want from the gaming industry is competition, and even as a PlayStation fan, I want Microsoft to do even better, because that's going to put pressure on Sony to do even better, and that's always going to lead to the best product, the best prices for the consumer possible. So yes, if you are exclusively a PlayStation gamer, it's unfortunate that you won't be able to check out Obsidian and Inxile's next projects, but hey, maybe that pushes you over the edge and actually makes you want to buy an Xbox One or the next Xbox whenever that's revealed. Also this week, we are coming up on the release of Spyro Reignited Trilogy, and what's been revealed about the game that's kind of surprising is that it is going to eat up a lot of storage space, specifically 67.5 gigabytes of hard drive space. That's absolutely massive, and I don't think a lot of people expected the game to be that big, considering the fact that it is just remasterings of PlayStation 1 titles. However, considering how they look, I guess they are a bit more beefy than a lot of us expected. Do bear in mind that if you are getting the game physically, only the entirety of the first game will be available on disc. With the other two games, they will partially be on disc, but you will have to download the remaining parts of those games in order to actually access Spyro 2 as well as Spyro 3. Spyro is a franchise that I'm personally very nostalgic with, even more so than the Crash Bandicoot games, and I thoroughly enjoyed Crash Bandicoot The Insane Trilogy, so you guys can imagine how excited I am for Spyro Reignited Trilogy. It'll be dropping on November 13th. Moving on from that, with 2018 coming to a close, just like every year, we will see the Game Awards show produced by Jeff Keighley, and he started to talk about the Game Awards show and what to expect. Quote, most of the major publishers will be sharing news on what they're doing in the future. It's a big event for the industry. I'm really proud that we have so many companies on the same stage putting competition aside to share a first look at what games are going in 2019 and beyond. As far as specific content that's going to be at the show, we're not going to talk about that yet. As we get close to the show, we'll share some things, although honestly, we won't talk about what are surprises for the show. He continued by saying a lot of games that wanted slots to be part of the show and share new content. In addition to that, we'll also have a lot of ongoing games getting new content, similarly to when they revealed PUBG's new map. The Game Awards show generally has a mixed reception. I wouldn't expect something of the gravitas as, say, an E3 or even a Gamescom, but there are usually some cool announcements here and there. We saw the announcement of No Man's Sky a couple years ago. Metal Gear Solid 5 got its debut trailer at the Game Awards show, although at that point it was just known as the Phantom Pain. That game had a crazy announcement, so maybe we'll see some big announcement, and even Jeff Keighley has said that this is the biggest lineup ever in terms of new game announcements, so a lot of interesting titles. I would imagine some smaller indie games, but also some big budget AAA games to round things out. The Game Awards 2018 will be held on December 6, 5:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Depending on where you are, the time will vary. However, it will air live with a variety of different translations, including China, Southeast Asia, Taiwan, Korea, Germany, Japan, Brazil, and Russia, and it'll be streamed on various platforms. So enough about that. Lastly, I do want to take a look at all of the new game releases coming this week. First of all, I already talked about Spyro Reignited Trilogy, but that'll be dropping on November 13th. Very excited for that, and it'll be priced accordingly at $39.99. And remember, if you have still yet to check out Crash Bandicoot The Insane Trilogy, Activision will be releasing a bundle with both Spyro and Crash, both of the trilogies together for $59.99. That's not a bad buy, and that'll also be dropping on November 13th. We're also coming up on the release of Hitman 2. That'll be coming on November 13th. Not a lot of fanfare surrounding that game. The reviews have been posted, and they're generally pretty positive. A lot of the reviews hovering around that high 7, low 8 range, and that's definitely respectable. However, with the impending release of another game that we're about to get to, seems like Hitman 2 has been lost in the shuffle a little bit. Runner 3 will be dropping on November 13th, the latest game in the Bit Trip Runner series, and if you do pick it up within the first 2 weeks of release, you will enjoy a steep 50% off discount, so a lot of reason to buy this game early. Fallout 76 will be dropping on November 14th. Seems like a very mixed reception heading into this game. Who knows what to expect at this point? I really wouldn't recommend a lot of people picking this up on day one just because we don't know what we're going to get here. We don't know if the servers are going to hold up, and we just generally don't know how quality-filled this title is. So a game that I'm personally looking forward to see how it turns out. However, one that I've mentioned numerous times that I am very skeptical on. And lastly, Battlefield 5 Deluxe Edition will be dropping on November 15th as well. Another game with a very, very mixed reception heading into the release. So it'll be interesting to see how that game turns out as well. Some of the reviews are being posted on that. It is a part of EA's Origin Access Premier program on PC, so a lot of people are already playing it. So there's that as well. But those are all of the new game releases of the week. Definitely a stacked week in terms of major franchises getting new games. I mean, you have a Spyro collection, you have Hitman, you have Fallout, you have Battlefield 5, but it doesn't seem like the hype and anticipation is really there for people that think that this is one of the biggest weeks in gaming all year. However, it really is when you look at the franchises involved. And that's going to conclude this video. Again, Obsidian and Inxile will no longer be making PlayStation games. Both have joined up with Microsoft and Xbox. Good to see that they'll have a larger budget to work with, but as a PlayStation gamer, you're probably a little bit disappointed that you won't see their titles in the future. If you're looking to pick up Spyro Reignited Trilogy, have a lot of storage space free as it looks to eat up 67.5 gigabytes. The Game Awards 2018 are looking to be pretty big with a lot of new announcements, a lot of new content for existing games, so something to be excited for December 6th for that event. And let us know if you're picking up any of the new releases this week. Again, Spyro Reignited Trilogy, Hitman 2, Fallout 76, Battlefield 5, Runner 3, a lot of exciting titles. So sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.